Hey, you guys, and welcome here in the nature with me again. It's really sunny, isn't it beautiful? And I thought we could have a little chat about the nervous system today. It is increasingly important in the society we live in the time we live in, and in the changes that we are going to move through, that we have more knowledge about the nervous system and more resources as how to calm our nervous system. The things are happening pretty quickly now. There are rapid shifts, and there will be more shifts happening more rapidly in our personal lives and also in the collective. Now, we are also receiving a lot of information, take social media, for example, everything that we are sort of bombarded with constantly. There's a lot to take in, there's a lot to process, and we are not there in the evolution yet because our body needs time to process all of that. Also, when there are things that happens that create stress in our body, now we know that stress is created more by the way we think about and the way we react to the circumstances than the actual circumstances. We all know that all people have some periods that are more calm and some periods that are more challenging in our lives. One of the things that really, really helps is to be in nature. When our nervous system is in that fight or flight or freeze response, when we are feeling that we can't really calm down, that there's something constantly, our mind is spinning, it's looping, it's constantly trying to prepare for what is coming, which is a big trap in my opinion, with all the predictions and everything about what may or may not happen, and trying to prepare in trying really to have some sort of control of what we don't know. Everything coming from fear will create some reaction in the nervous system. And being in nature on a frequent basis really, really helps our body. Because the frequency in nature it's so calm. It just is, right? The nature can hold you no matter how you're feeling. If you are on the top of this world and everything is just going the way you dreamt of in your life, or whether everything is falling apart, the nature will be there for you, the nature will hold you, the nature will accept you. And that energy is so important. And if we can learn something from nature, in that I think it is acceptance. Because in accepting what is, we are actually giving our nervous systems a massive gift. In accepting what is, and we don't have to like it. So I'm not saying that you have to like whatever is going on in your life or in the world. I'm just saying work towards acceptance. Because when we're caught in the resistance, when we're caught in trying to fight it, we are constantly in that war in the nervous system. That is one of the main reasons why we have so many diseases now. It is because we have so many stress reactions. It creates a reaction of inflammation in our bodies, and then everything starts to down spiral. We can see this from, for example, children growing up in a lot of trauma are more easily getting autoimmune responses in their bodies because they have grown up with a nervous system that has not been well regulated. So we know that, this is science, right? We know from many, many studies that in time it really affects our health, also the physical health. So what can you do every day in order to create a good environment for your nervous system, to stop those loops of thoughts that create stress? have like a stop button that you push when you catch yourself that is like, oh, here I go again. Now this is running, and I'm just caught in planning this thing, about stressing about this thing, about worrying about this thing. Be more in nature and learn from nature. Be present. Turn off your phone. Take in less information. That is huge, huge, huge now. We take in only from scrolling, but no matter what social media that is, right? We take in so much more than what we actually see, energetically speaking, which we also react to. And by accepting what is, when something happens in our life, we allow the emotions to move. So we know that when we are in resistance to the emotions, we suppress them, we hold them. It's constantly there. But if we accept what is and allow ourselves to have the emotional reaction to it, allow those emotions to actually be felt without judging ourselves, without bringing resistance to it, without making it wrong, then that can actually be felt, it can be released, and it can move out of the body, which is so helpful for our mental health, for our physical health, and obviously for our emotional health as well. When we come out of that fight-flight state or freeze state, the body will balance itself. It is what it's really good at. The body knows what to do. We have nothing, there's no reason to try to control that. As long as we are aware of the thoughts, aware of feeling the emotions, aware of creating an environment that allows our body to function properly, and do that to the extent that we can. And accepting what is a huge one. It can be so challenging at times. So challenging. But by doing that, you allow the emotions to move and you get out of that state. Because if you're in a state of an issue, of a problem, of a worry, and we are in that same frequency, we will never find a solution to it. And obviously, also, I'm very aware that there are situations that we can't change in that sense. When we are in situations of grief, for example, right? Then no matter what we do, won't give that person back into the physical, for example, if you have lost someone. But then again, it's about moving towards again and again the acceptance of what is, so that we can allow those emotions to actually move and to be felt, no matter how intense and hard and challenging that is, because that is what eventually will move us forward, will help us to process what is, and will help our body to not stay in that tense fight against what is. We also have that aspect of addiction, right? And now I'm talking about the addiction that we don't see in the same sense as, for example, a substance addiction or something like that. We can be addicted to emotions. When we have a thought about something, it creates a certain emotion in the body, and then that emotion creates a cocktail of chemicals in our brain. It creates hormones in our body, and that state that the body is used to be in, will it be craving. And so if we are used to having a lot of stress, if we are used to constantly going into that fight-flight, if we are used to that cocktail every single day of chemicals in our brain and hormones, in our bodies, then we will unconsciously continue having the thought patterns, having the belief systems, searching for those situations, creating those worries in our mind, just so that we will actually have that same chemical cocktail going around in our body, because we are addicted to that high and low, or to that boost, or whatever that is, without even knowing it. This is also actually a bit of a side note, but it's also one of the reasons why it can be so difficult to come out of, if we see people in very toxic relationships. So, say domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, for example. It is that what is often termed as trauma bonding, right? It's not that you're bonding with the trauma of someone, it's that you're actually addicted. Without knowing it, you become addicted to that that state. You're constantly like on edge because you don't know when the next hit comes or when the next whatever situation that this person creates, when that situation comes up, when the next situation of abuse comes, and then that to keep a person in that vacuum, in that loop, like just hanging there, that situation, and then suddenly something is really good and you feel like you can relax, and then suddenly things shift, and that, or there is, violence or whatever, that actually creates a lot of chemicals in our brains, a lot of hormones that creates an addiction. So this is also why it's not only understanding that the situation in and of itself is wrong or it's not healthy to be in, right? But it's about understanding that it can be very challenging on a very, very physiological, biological level because of these addictions. And the more we can understand how our brain works, how our central nervous system works, the more we can assist our bodies in whatever we are meeting down the road, in whatever happens in the world, in whatever happens in our lives. And that doesn't mean that we, as I said, have to like what happens. It doesn't mean that it's not challenging. But the more we can remind ourselves in those situations that, okay, I really don't like this. I really wish things were different. That's okay. That's how I feel about it. I also know that it is what it is. And if I fight what is at this exact moment, I will not allow myself find a solution on it or try to process it or move anywhere. I will just keep my body stuck in the situation and not allow it to move forward. So how can I right now help myself a little bit more towards the acceptance, well knowing that it doesn't mean that I have to like it, but I have to accept that it is the situation right now. And from there, I actually can access a different state with time, maybe in the moment when you accept it, whether it, like if it's just a normal day situation that isn't too big, right? But if it's something huge in your life, every single time you can remind yourself that accept what is, I accept these emotions, I accept that I don't like it, I accept it just like it is. Just like nature, you'll keep standing there, you'll keep being there, accepting it, holding it, you'll move through it, and it helps your body, the physical, the mental, emotional, a lot. I hope this is helpful for you guys. I've been thinking of this so many times when I'm in nature over the years. I've used actually that really actively on my own healing journey. As many of you know, I had a very long healing journey, and a huge part of that I spent hours in the forest every single day. And that was my commitment. As long as I was able to stand on my own 2 feet, I got myself into the forest. Whether that was 20 meters, I was in the forest. And just sitting there, I could do meditation, I could do my breath work, I could just sit there, observe the details, process any emotions, whatever. Just that frequency, it helps because it entrains with our fields, and it's very, very helpful for us. I hope this is helpful for you guys. You can save the video if you want to come back to it also for a reminder when you are in it, as many of us will be the coming times, and many of us are at the moment. And also pass it along if there is someone you think will have help from listening to this. And I hope you can enjoy the nature here, feeling the calmness. Thank you guys for being here. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.